Hey everyone, it's MK. Welcome back to MK Quilts for my weekly live feed. Where are we going to start today? Let me just turn around and pick up where we're going to start today. It's kind of a big box. I needed some muscles to pick it up. What's in there, you ask? Let me put it down. So in that box is a huge order of the etched glide feet, okay? So those etched glide feet have been one of my top sellers here at MK Quilts ever since I started chattering about them several weeks ago. All right, so that's my third order, and it's a huge order. Even when I placed that order, Handy Quilter was like, is that really how many you want? And where are we sending them? So anyway, those glide feet are up on my website under the product store, and you can order those up. Just remember, as a review, those glide feet they come directly from Handy Quilter, but I have them sent out to a third party to put that engraving on there, right? The etching. All right, so it's an aftermarket add-on. There's additional charges for that. Just head on over to MK Quilts in my product store and you can order yours up. All right, okay, I got my list in hand. What else am I covering today? Really quickly, along with the glide feet, I kind of went through the shop today and I just pulled out things that I had left over from some of the other promotions and sales that I had. So I'm just glancing over there. I kind of left them out. If you're interested, I have a hand crank, the wheel crank for the front of your frame. I have one for both the gallery frame and I have one for the studio frame. I have an easy set tension kit, and I just happened to notice that this month, I think it's next week, the HQ Live is going to be all about tension. Okay, so that's going to be a really good one to catch, and if you want, you can pick up an easy set tension kit from MK. Over there on the table, I also have a set of pole cradles. I don't know how I ever loaded without those pole cradles. They are awesome. I have two of the Handy Quilter light strips that you can attach on the underside of either your Avante or your Fusion, or even on your Sweet 16 or your Simply, and I have two of those light strips, and those are the USB versions. Okay, so you have to plug those into a USB port on your machine. All right, also over there I have a pack of bobbins. I have a set of the manual plastic the clamps to help you do channel locking. Now I know we're Pro Stitcher users, so we don't need those, but if you have another machine that doesn't have Pro Stitcher, or you know somebody that has one, I have one of those. And then I have some of the Echo feet still in stock, and I have some of the Sure feet in stock still. Okay, so just a handful of things that were kind of left over from my other sales, and if you want to pick any of those items up, just why don't you private message me what you want. You can go back on this video and review those things that I just said, or I can list them below when I'm done with the live feed. Not all of those units or those items are up on my website, so we can just take care of those one-on-one. All right? Okay, what's next? Video sales and rentals. So this last month, in the month of May, was a big, big month for my video sales and my contributor, Paula Jo from Cedar Quilts. She got her first two videos up there on my hosting site, and May was a really, really big month. Towards the end of the month, I had bundled those together and gave you a bit of a discount, and so that was really, really awesome. And Paula Jo and I, we both thank you very much for your video rentals. All right, so what's coming down the pike from Paula Jo? Not exactly sure. I'm going to be touching base with her this weekend as we kind of do the final book work and talk through some of her sales from this last month, and I will see what she's got coming down the pipe and what she plans to upload in the future over on her contributor page on MK Quilts. Okay, what does MK have coming down the pike? So, as you know, last month I posted that video on my hosting site that was for that little mini class that I had done called Cityscape, and I had really a lot of positive feedback about that. I know many of you rented that, and there was just a lot of stuff packed into that one little class. But I also got some feedback from that about what you would like to see in the future. And there was one topic that kind of was by and far far and away the most requested content, and that was content about cropping. Okay, all things cropping. And so although right now in my studio I don't really have a quilt that comes to mind that I think I could work up a class for, I do have a lot of things floating around in my head that just basically relate to cropping. So I'm pretty sure that I can come up with some ideas and just some, you know, make-believe kind of quilts and things that I can dream up, and we'll do some work on cropping in my next mini class. All right? Okay. The other thing that I would like to cover in one of my next sessions is whole cloth. So this leads me to talk a little bit about a post that I did late in the day yesterday, and it was that beautiful whole cloth layout that I did with the new set from Christy Dillon. So I wanted to talk about Christy a little bit and that set. The first thing is I had somebody reach out to me and say, "Oh, Melissa, you know, don't post about that. It's supposed to be a mystery set." Well, I just want you to know that I indeed did talk to Christy and Becky. They are the owners of My Creative Stitches, before I did that post, and I did get their permission to talk about that set. And I showed them what I had created, and one of the reasons why they wanted me to go ahead and post about it, even though the mystery wasn't, you know, 100% revealed yet, was they wanted you guys to get inspiration about what you can do with those patterns. Because sometimes don't you get things, or you purchase things, or you're on a pattern club and you get these and you're like, "Oh, those are beautiful, but now what do I do with them?" And of course you guys know that I have been doing all of this layout and rendering with my simulation ever since it came out 2 summers ago. And so, you know, sometimes in the evening, just like I did a few nights ago, I will just sit there on the sofa at night and I'll have my sim loaded, I'll have all my patterns, and I just start doing layouts. And that's what I came up with, that beautiful layout that was mostly from that new set from Christy Dillon. There was a couple other things thrown in there, but it was mostly from her set. And so I thought maybe what I would do for one of my next online sessions is kind of take you through maybe that stitch out. I would really love to stitch out that whole cloth that I designed. But you know, I'm really busy here, and if I'm going to do a project like that, that's going to be on the frame for quite a while. And so it's going to eat up, you know, one of my machines. But I really want to do that. And I had also mentioned that one of my guilds is having a quilt show in the early part of next year. So if I get that done and finished, I could put that in the show. So I'm kind of thinking along those lines. I could kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right? I can make it a class, I can get a project done for the quilt show, and then I'll be, you know, I'll be ready for that. But I want to go back and talk a little bit about Christy, because if you follow me on the page and if you follow all my layouts that I do, you know that I really highlight her patterns a lot. So I want to just take you back and give you a little bit of history on how it is that I got to know Christy. So the first thing is, Christy lives in Virginia. She's a designer, pattern designer and digitizer, and I've actually never met her in person. We only know each other through our online acquaintance. But we do have somebody in common that lives here in Florida. Her sister Jamie, it lives here in Florida. And many years ago, before I bought my first long arm, Jamie had, I think it was her and one of her kids, had a quilt shop just north of where I am here. And she had big long arm in there, and I would go in and just be fascinated by her setup. And you know, this was in that time frame when I was looking for a machine. And so I just would go in there and talk to Jamie and, you know, watch her do her magic. Okay, so fast forward, I bought my machine, got my handy quilter, added on Pro Stitcher. So a few years later, still, of course, I know Jamie. I've got my machine now, and I go into the shop again, and Jamie starts telling me about Christy. And she's like, "You know, Melissa, if you ever have a quilt or just a scenario or a pattern that you need help with, Christy will help you." And I'm like, "Oh, really? She would? Are you sure?" Okay, at this point, I'm like not really thinking, you know, straight that, well, of course she would help me. This is her business. She designs patterns, right? So, of course, again, fast forward, I had a quilt at some point. I don't even remember what quilt it was, but I had a quilt and I just was kind of stuck on what to do with the quilting. And so I did up a sketch, I did up some measurements, I took some pictures, and I sent it to Christy. And I said, Jamie told me that you would help me. And she did. And oh my gosh, I think Christy and I are just kindred souls, because she knows what I like. I love her designs, and when I ask for help from her, she'll send me back an idea or a layout or a pattern, and she'll be like, well, do you like it, or what do you think? And I'm like, oh, it's perfect. Yes, I like it. Send it on over. Okay, so that's my connection with Christy. And you know, I mentioned her because her and Becky are really easy to work with, and I'm sure that they would help you too. Okay, so just hop on over to mycreativestitches.net, I think it is, and just tell Christy or Becky that MK sent you, and this is what you need help with. There are fees, of course, associated with their time to digitize and design for you, you know, but sometimes a quilt just deserves that extra price tag attached to it. And of course, if you're a professional long armor, if you're doing this for hire, like, you know, so many of us are, then you can build those fees into your fee to your client. Okay, so Christy, thank you so much for that set. What an awesome set. And stay tuned, you guys. I'm hoping to be able to stitch that out, and I'll bring you along on that whole process on how I approach that layout. Okay? All right, what else? Just as a follow-up again to another post that I did yesterday, I was getting overstocked on thread. Okay, so I belong to Superior Thread Club, and I keep the Thread Club even though I have more thread than I can ever use in like 10 lifetimes. I keep the Thread Club because I love Superior's products, and I can add on other things to my club. But I was just getting so much thread that I had all of this left over. So I sold 2 lots of thread, 2 lots of 12, so I got rid of 24, but I have 9 of them left over. These are brand new, unopened cones, 6,000 yards, I think it is, of Omni, and I have 9 of them left over, and basically they're duplicates of stuff that I already have, so they're brand new, never opened, and I will list those again below. I'll list the numbers, and I think I'm gonna just do that final grouping for $115. That includes shipping, and you can have it. All right, what else? I got my in-home sessions, still got space in those. All of those are listed on my website, so just hop over there. The one coming up in August, one coming up in September. And then I think I mentioned last week, or maybe I didn't, I forget, I'm going to be over in the Melbourne area of Florida at the end of June. Okay, so I think it's around the 25th of June, 24th, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, something like that. If you are in that area and you're listening and you want to maybe book me for a private event, I would love to either come before my event or stay after by a day or so, and we can do something in your area over there near Melbourne, Florida. Okay, what else have I got coming up? I have got, for the local people, okay, so I know I'm in the Sim group, but remember, I repost this in other places. So for my local people, my rental program is ready to blast off. Again, if you saw a post yesterday, you saw I have a friend coming on board that's going to help me a few hours here and there at MK Quilts, and she's going to be primarily responsible for kind of overseeing my rental program. Okay, so if you're in the local area, hop on over to the website. All of the details are over there, but I've got 2 classes coming up next week. One is going to be on Monday, I think it's the 5th, and then one on Saturday, the 10th. Now the Saturday class, I already had people signed up for that, and then I got a notice from the power company here in the area that I'm going to be without power in the morning. So I'm going to have to move that class to the afternoon. I will contact you, but I still have one opening, I think one opening for that class on Saturday the 10th, and it's going to have to be in the afternoon, okay? All right, what else do we got? We've got the Handy Quilter promotion. The, what is it? It is 0% down, 0 interest, and $20 shipping. So that promotion is going on through, let's see, through June the 6th. So again, next week is going to be the end of that. All right. So I think that's just about it on my list. So what I would like to end with today, before I show you what is on the frames, is I'm going to ask your permission for me to just digress a little bit from quilting. Well, it's kind of related actually, and invite you to follow me over on my personal page. Many of you are my friends over on my personal Facebook page, and you know, I welcome your friendship there as long as we keep it happy and fun. I don't like to get into the politics over there, so I'm happy to accept your friend request. Let's just keep it about fun, positive quilting stuff. And another venture adventure that I'm going into. Some of you have already seen that I am going and I'm not going to give too much away about that today, but again, I invite you to come on over to my personal page and follow along and learn more about this. And I'm actually humbly coming to you today to ask you to help me get that started a little bit. So when I got into quilting, of course, my local guild buddies were my first customers, and they really helped me get my business going. So I'm going to ask some of you, if you're local or even if you're not local, to keep watching and consider helping me get this Makeup and More, I'm calling it Makeup and More with MK, to help me kind of get that off the ground. Now, how does this relate to quilting, you say? Well, it kind of occurred to me that we long armors and us quilters, we don't want our products getting on our fabric or our quilts, right? So I'm going to do a little test for you today, just a little demo, and so that you can see that I really do love these products. So what do I have here? I have a white tissue. And I'm wearing kind of a darker color today. I knew I was going to do this, so I put on a little bit darker color. Here's a white Kleenex fresh out of the box. And here we go. Nothing on there. Okay, that's a Kleenex. Well, here is a beautiful white piece of tone-on-tone like muslin fabric. White, white, white. I just cut it and pressed it. Okay, here we go. Nothing on there. And look at that color. It's pretty dark, right? Okay, so that's what it is, you guys. No secret. I've been posting about it already over on my personal page. So come along to Makeup and More with MK. I've got a new group started for that. For a while, I'm probably going to be posting mostly on my personal page to kind of get people interested, and then I won't bother you guys anymore about lipstick. If you want lipstick, you can meet me over there. Okay, let's look at what's on the frames, and then we'll call it quits. Over here on McFusion, I'm just got it loaded. It's a beautiful 2-color quilt. I actually think it's a Missouri Star quilt pattern. Really, really pretty. And actually that quilt's owner is going to be taking my rental program next week. So I'm finishing up a couple quilts for her, and then I think she's probably going to take off and do some of her own quilting here in the shop. Over here on this side on McFinity, I have this cute as can be baby quilt. And that is from my dear friend, oops, sorry for the commotion with the camera there. That's from my dear friend and quilting buddy, Brenda. So that's what's happening with MK today. Thanks for coming along. And as always, you guys, from my studio to yours, happy quilting. Bye-bye.